So there's a saying by Saint Ignatius of Loyola. He said this: "For those who believe, no proof is necessary. For those who do not believe, no amount of proof is sufficient." I think it's very true. In our gospel today, the Jews, they just witnessed Jesus performing the multiplication of the bread and the fish that fed the 5,000. And yet, they're asking for another sign. They said, what sign are you going to give us then, so that we may see it and believe you? Right? And they thought that Jesus is just like one of the prophets, that he's like Moses, who fed the Israelites with manna in the desert. And Jesus is saying to them, no, I'm not like Moses. Moses just ordered the bread, and his father provided the bread. But here, Jesus is the baker, and he is also the bread. When he said, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. So when Jesus said, I am the bread of life, this is one of the 7 I ams of Jesus in the Gospel of John. And he performed miracles, signs, and wonders so that people will believe that he is the Son of God. In John chapter 20, it says there, now Jesus did many other signs in the presence of the disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written so that you may come to believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that through believing you may have life in his name. Okay, that's from John chapter 20, verse 31. Okay, and for me, I find myself at times like the Jews. Despite the many signs, I still doubt. I still do not believe. Yesterday, I was approached by one of my brother priests, I won't say who, and he did it in a very charitable way. And because he just noticed that I'm busy all the time. And underneath that busyness, he just sensed some form of like anxiety or fear. And he said, bring it to prayer. So I brought it to prayer in the chapel. And true enough, the busyness that I'm doing, it is to cover up the fear that is underneath that. And what is that fear? I have that fear of not persevering to the end. I don't know why. I have that fear. I have that fear of not persevering to the end. I have that fear of not finishing strong. Despite the miracles that I've witnessed in my life, the Lord miraculously healed me last year of my illness, right? With God, nothing is impossible. And yet, there's still at times wherein I doubt. I know, I preach to you that, you need to trust in the Lord. And yet, I do not practice what I preach. That's why we're all in the same boat. We're all in this school of trust, that we need to trust in the Lord. So, and you know that funny is that there are times when the Lord knows what's your situation, and the Lord is giving an answer to your situation. So this morning, I'm reading this book from The Life of Saint Catherine of Siena by Blessed Raymond of Capua. Okay, next week we will be celebrating the feast of Saint Catherine of Siena, so I'm just preparing myself. So Saint Catherine of Siena struggled with that too. And this is what the Lord commanded Saint Catherine of Siena. The Lord commanded her to shut all other thoughts out of her mind and retain only the thought of Him. and to prevent any anxiety about herself or her spiritual condition from distracting her from the peace of the thought of Him. And this is what Jesus said to her: "Do not fret about the salvation of your body and soul, for I who know can do all things will think of it and look after it most carefully." Okay? She was able to do that, and because she was able to do that, she was able to impart that wisdom to others. There were some Dominican priests who would accompany her, and then one Dominican priest would often also fall into fear. And this is what St. Catherine told him: "What have you to do with yourselves? Leave it to divine providence. However much afraid you are, providence still has its eye on you and is always aiming at your salvation." When I read this brought consolation to my heart and really lifted up my fear. The fear of not persevering to the very end. Whatever you are afraid of right now, COVID, losing your job, whatever, or your salvation, the salvation of your children, whatever you are afraid of, the Lord is inviting us to trust in Him even more.